hello everybody to our next episode of Texas Calling. I'm Andreas, and with me is my friend.
Daniel.
Yes, right. So first question, right? Today we're trying a little bit of experiment. So we are recording this whole session also while streaming it on Twitch. So with a little bit of the post and past chat for this episode. So whoever is interested in that, you can search that on Twitch. Currently doesn't have an own channel. You can search for GDC Wikinger. You will find this guy there. Yeah, and we have a topic for today, which is food. So,
Yummy.
so maybe a little bit of introduction. We both kind of into food. So Daniel is basically, for Daniel, I guess everything is food, isn't it right?
Well, I'm not like one of those super foodie kind of people, but I eat a lot.
Yeah, and also the interesting part is always when I ask you about because you travel a lot during your
Mhm.
lifespan, and every time I ask how you rank this or how you see this, it basically comes down to like food.
Well, I'm not sure if that's a function of me being a foodie because I refuse to associate myself with that label, or me just being a boring person, right? And so if you're a boring person and you're in a brand new city or brand new country, what do? You go get something to eat. So,
But
yeah,
it is very important for you because I sense that because it's every time it's like you were in Italy for some time and we talk about that
that's right.
there was this great food and you can get this great food and like you are of a Korean heritage, so you're
Hmm.
also into that food. We also tried a little bit of that. We will come to that later. So it seems quite important for your life. Like food is an important part.
Well, there are some people who just treat food as a necessary evil that you have to do to get through your day, right? Like going to the toilet or something, right? But yeah, I enjoy my food. Honestly speaking, I also enjoy going to the toilet as well. But maybe maybe we'll leave that analogy, for another
Yeah,
time.
we are not
It's
cutting
part of the
because this
circle
is
of
one
life.
take. That's one take recording. We not cut anything. So, how did Conan O'Brien once said, "I want you to see how shitty this show is." So,
Yeah, in all seriousness, I do like food, but like again, like I'm a little bit shy from using that label on myself, right? Because there's some foods that are not really food. They're like pieces of art or, maybe performance art. And I'm way less into that than other people, right? So I've been to some molecular molecular gastronomy restaurants, and I've been to some restaurants that, you're having an experience. I've been to a lot of several starred Michelin restaurants and stuff, and I tend to look for the food that is of good value, right? And so what I mean by that is you can always get good food if you're willing to pay a lot of money for it, right? But things that truly bring me happiness is when I find something just amazing to eat and it's really cheap, right? So in some ways, I'm like the opposite of a foodie, right? I'm a food bargainist. I don't know.
so you're more interested in the, let's say, more everyday foods, like more local cuisine, apart from that, like
Yeah, absolutely.
craftsmanship.
Yeah, that's how you get, you know, like the true essence of a culture. Like you said, I've been to a lot of places, I've traveled a lot in my life, but nothing really kind of teaches you about the culture of a place besides the food that they eat, right? That's
Hmm.
really like this is going to sound super cheesy, but that's really the soul of a culture, right? So,
Yeah, and I'm for myself. I also like food, and I think I'm in the same direction as you here, Daniel. So I think I never went to a fancy, I would call it like that, fancy restaurant where it's the best restaurants I went to and also the most expensive were basically steakhouses. So it's
Those are
like,
pretty expensive.
yeah, I can get a little bit fancy there, but
Hmm.
not like, especially like you said, these molecular cuisine or Michelin. I think I need this. I will do that once because I want that experience in my life.
Hmm.
But I'm also not, honestly, I'm not really looking forward to it because on the other side, as you know, but our audience might not know, I am a very, yeah, it's my mom would say a bad eater. So I never. well, The carrots are a bad example because I love carrots, but like everything the other stuff, I was the children. My mom always said in the beginning I ate everything. Then my brother, who is 4 years older than me, he
Hmm.
came into that phase where you start as a child not to eat the stuff that's on the table.
Hmm.
Uh, so I saw that, and obviously he's my big brother, so big influence on me. It seems that I start very early to do that as well. Just he got yeah, he got it. So he started to eat everything again, and I just stuck there. So I'm also um, yeah, quite picky with my food, and I hate fish, all kinds of fish, everything that was in the water. No, and I tried a lot. I tried a lot. It's not one of these situations to say like, yeah, you have to try it. I have every time the situation when we go to like it's something that has fish or even a sushi place, something I was in some good Japanese restaurants, and then people always say, "Oh, you have to try this here. Oh, you have to try this. This is not comparable to what you have eaten there or stuff." No, if it's
Hmm.
fish, I tried all of this. Like not all of the
Hmm.
fish in the world, but like from the whole, like more fancy restaurants, um, very good Japanese sushi. I tried a lot of these stuff, and no, it really I
Yeah.
get a bad reaction from my body on that. I don't know if that is some psychological issue from my use or I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't judge you too hard because I've got a similar thing with blood, right? So, like you said, I've traveled a lot of places, and usually, within the local cuisine, there's usually something made out of blood, right? Like morcilla or bloodwurst or blutwurst or the Asian kind of gelatinized blood cubes and stuff. I just can't eat it, right? I've tried several times, and I just
What the
doesn't
hell
even
is
taste bad. I just can't eat it. I'm just like, meh, I don't want it. So
what
I
the
can't
hell are
judge you too hard about
blood
the fish.
cubes?
Yeah, so it's this dish where they take the blood, right, and basically they cook it. And they congeal it, and they basically turn it into their version of blutwurst, right? So sometimes it's mixed in with grains, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's with organs, sometimes it's not. In Italy, they make cookies out of it, so it's like great, but I don't want to eat it.
So I think we laid the foundation. So you cannot expect from us like we are not like the Guide Michelin or something like that. So we will not show you the fanciest restaurants around the world. That's not what we do. You will get more like
A local
opinion.
currywurst poodle.
Yeah, the local curry was. And of course, we will focus on a little bit on Germany and the US because that's the topic of this podcast.
Yeah.
So maybe we start with an easy question for you, Daniel. What is your favorite German dish?
Favorite German dish? Hühnerfrikassee, aber mit ohne Gemüse.
Mit ohne Gemüse.
Steinpisen.
So how became Hühnerfrikassee? Because of all the stuff you could eat here in Germany, how become Hühnerfrikassee your favorite dish?
Oh man, because it actually reminds me of chicken and dumplings in the U.S. Right? So Hühnerfrikassee. Basically, you start off with it's chicken in a gravy, like a chicken gravy. You can throw in some vegetables, or you don't have to. Um, you have mushrooms in it, and basically, you serve it over rice. But if you look at that, it could be chicken and dumplings. It could be a chicken pot pie. It's basically the same kind of material, like a buttery, gravy filled, savory chicken dish, right? So actually, if I were to make a hybrid American slash German dish, I would basically take Hühnerfrikassee, put it into a pie, right, and then make myself a kind of a watery chicken pot pie.
So it was more like homesickness dish. So it's like something that reminds you at home and saying, "Oh, that's great."
I mean, you could say that, but I mean, who doesn't like tuna fricassee? I mean,
Uh,
besides vegetarians, right?
I, yeah, I eat it, but it's not my favorite
Do you like
kind of.
it?
Not really.
What do you mean, not really? Do you like chicken?
Yeah, sure.
Do you like gravy?
Uh, uh,
Okay, if you don't like gravy, that basically eliminates 80% of the dishes out in the world.
I think we have to talk about gravy as well because like basically what the question would be my favorite dish of the US, which I had to learn a little bit is I cannot even put it on one dish. It's more like these concept of breakfast every day or all day. The Germans are very strict about breakfast times. I tell you that.
They are. They are.
Yes. So it is a very unknown concept to us to have a breakfast all day. That's the first, and the second thing is what you call breakfast isn't the breakfast. So I think everybody who's traveling knows that like the typical European thing is more like what you can get in hotels when you call or when you ask for the intercontinental breakfast.
Uh-huh.
Of course, it's a more better version than this shitty hotel food, but it's basically it's a little bit bread. And Germans, man, we love our bread, so we have a lot of different kind of breads, not just sourdough and white bread, but we have a lot of that. And then we have for the sweet tongue, you have like jellies, or you have what we eat here. I don't know if that is actually a thing in the US. It's like Nutella. I don't know if that is in the US.
Yeah, we just call it Nutella.
Okay, I didn't know because some of these products aren't in the US, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's quite one of the best invention ever made. It's awesome. Every children loves
Uh-huh.
it, and every adult also, but they get a little bit aware of how bad it is for your body. But that's still awesome. And then you have a lot
Well,
on the other side, meat and cheese, and that's basically the breakfast in Germany.
well, comment and a question, right? So my question, first of all, the comment. If I'm understanding you right, your favorite food in America is basically scrambled eggs.
Yeah, the combination, like what you can get, like the I love scrambled eggs, yeah, definitely. But
Yeah.
these scrambled eggs, waffles, bacon, like
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like America was the country that introduced me to the concept of bacon. I
Mm-hmm.
never ate it here in Germany. I had it on some burgers, never liked it really. But in the
Mm-hmm.
US, I came not addicted, but I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
You have this like brown sugar or
Mm-hmm.
brown butter. It's even better.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great thing. And what I loved, especially if I go like in a more special direction in the breakfast part, and now we're also coming to like the regions in the US, is like the Texas breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Is I like especially because it has a lot of Texan or Mexican influence. So I cannot remember the name, but you will tell me what I've eaten. That is this dish where everything is scrambled together with like a little bit of tomato, a little bit spicy, and we ate it at the Kirby Lane the first evening we arrived last holiday. Wow, what was it?
I think that was the migas that you ordered.
I guess
Are you
yes.
talking, or are you talking about the dish that you had at Gloria's with the sausage, the eggs and chorizo?
Yeah, also that, for me that I'm sounding very cultural inappropriate, but for me that is basically all like the same direction. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like a little bit of the same mix. It's like you have basically scrambled eggs, and you have some tomatoes, you have a little bit of spice in there, you have a little bit of meat in there, sometimes chorizo,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes grounded beef or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
just all mixed up. Honestly, sometimes it looks a little bit like vomited, uh, but it tastes really great, and it's I can see where this is coming from. Like this is really a dish you like in the morning. Your workday starts. You go in. You eat that. You could even put that into a burrito very perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Just eat that, and you're
I mean,
done.
we do. They're called breakfast tacos.
Yeah, that's another concept. So we have a lot to talk about. So, but that's basically my favorite dish. Um, and maybe also something I want to point out. That we should have a focus on when we talk about this different food because we will jump around a little bit. what I
Mm-hmm.
recognized about food in the US is, especially in contrast to Germany, like Germany is a real small place
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to like the US. So like basically in one day I can drive with my car anywhere I want in Germany
Mm-hmm.
without any problem. So even from, I think if I go from completely south to completely north, it will take me like what is it, 9 hours, 10 hours, or something like that. But then I'm there, and then I drove
Mm-hmm.
through the whole country on the widest road.
Mm-hmm.
And in the US, you have it's just a huge country, and this is also reflected for me in the food. So
Yeah.
it's very special. You have, it's not that we don't have that in Germany. It's obviously if you come to the North Sea or something, it gets more fish heavy, and you have some dishes that are special to there. You have in Bavaria, or you have some dishes. You have in Eastern Germany, you have some dishes. Even here in Cologne, we have some dishes. Every region has a little bit of a special dish, but it's not that, yeah, that much like I experienced that in the US, for example.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think for me, the leap from American food, despite all my travel, the leap from American food to German food is not that big at all, right? That's when I say, like, when you ask me what my favorite dishes are, like Hühnerfrikassee, Rinderroulade, and Königsberger Klopse, you can find all similar analogs to that in, you know, traditional Southern comfort foods, right? And I think it is because the the U.S. is such a melting pot, right? So every culture, every wave of immigration brought their own kind of, regional favorites, and it all just kind of like got adapted and mixed in with the food here, right? So if you look at, let's say, traditionally Texan food, right? Um, Besides the underlying kind of American food, you're going to find a lot of influences from Germany, from the Czech Republic, from Asia, from Mexico, obviously. You're going to find a lot of that kind of mixed in together, and mixing with like the local culture. So that leap isn't as big for me. But if I read between the lines and try to parse what you're saying, it's not that you have a favorite dish in the U.S. It's more of the philosophy of those comfort foods, and stuff, right? Is that what I'm hearing
Yeah, and
correctly?
like, I wouldn't put it that way. Also, I put it on the breakfast thing because um, even if you set it up like differently, like there are different ways also in the US to put your breakfast together. Obviously, they have choices,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it all evolves around like certain ingredients that are like basic. It seems to be like chicken, waffle, scrambled eggs, um, yeah, and gravy. Which is
Mm-hmm.
strange for breakfast, but okay. So, and then you have like in Texas, you have this Mexican influence, so you have these more Mexican stuff. I think the same is in California. They also have that. Obviously, they are also connected to the Mexicans.
It's
Um,
different though. It's
yeah,
interesting that it
it's
is so
different.
different between like Cali Mex and Tex Mex, right?
That's right. In New York, you had a lot more of an Italian influence,
Uh-huh.
or like I never went to every restaurant in New York, so we stayed at the what was it, Lower East Side
Uh-huh.
and around that area, and where we went to, you saw a lot of Italian places and a lot of Italian food, which is also like Italian but Americanized, or
Yeah.
different version could be it is more Italian than the Italian food that we get in Germany because it has Germanized. Because that is also something that I really, really recognized. I think that's a normal process. Like if you are somebody who's a foreigner in a country, or you're just moving over, making a new living in a new country, you start with what you know. Like the Italian guys
Mm-hmm.
came over, do spaghetti, do carbonara, do what they know from home, and then you meet all these other different people, and they start to give you feedback on that, and
Mm-hmm.
so the taste flavor adapts a little bit to that
Mm-hmm.
area. I think that's a total normal progress. So I think nowhere outside. I don't like these. Oh, here you will get the real authentic Italian food, or here you get the really authentic Asia cuisine and stuff like that. It's always a little bit adapted. You still have these. Like if you have an area like Chinatown, I think there will be some restaurants that are very traditional Chinese because they have enough people coming in there who could appreciate that. But if you want to
That's
go
right.
on a bigger market, especially like in a town of New York, it would not be possible. So
That's right.
you have to adapt a little bit. And I think that the Germans are worse at that point. So if you come to Germany and open up a food store here, I think you have to adapt much quicker to the German tongue than you have in the United States. I got the feeling there is a little bit more willingness to accept different tastes. There's also
Yeah, like I said, like, we got a lot of food diversity over there. We have a very diverse population, much more than, let's say, I would say, all right, where's probably the most diverse population in Germany? Probably Berlin, maybe Dusseldorf, right?
Düsseldorf is not
Um,
really diverse. It's more like you have a huge Japanese influence there.
yeah, yeah. But I would say, like, even a small U.S. town is much more diverse than any town or city in Germany. And so you have a lot of culinary influences from all over the place. And since that's kind of been normalized, people are just more accepting of, let's say, different rules. Like, for example, if you went into Italy, right, and you said, like, I'm going to put some pineapple on my pizza, they just, you basically said, gravity pulls you upwards, right? Like, it just doesn't compute, right? Or if you say, like, yeah, I'm going to go to Starbucks and have a cup of coffee, and this cup of coffee is going to have pumpkin spice in it also, just causes a seg fault, does not compute, right? As opposed to in the US, one thing a lot of my Europeans friends comment on is the prevalence of, let's say, strange flavor combinations to a European taste, like sweet and savory at the same time, or potatoes for breakfast. How strange. This is one part of Germany that, like, always gets me. It's like Germans eat so many potatoes everywhere, but not for breakfast.
There has to be one meal where we eat something different.
It's just mind-boggling. It's like, why not have potatoes for breakfast? I mean, you take a Reibenkuchen, right? It's very, very tasty. But instead of serving it with the applesauce or the Apfelmus, why not serve it with scrambled eggs, a side of bacon, maybe some maple syrup on top? Who knows,
Yeah, I honestly have to say, like, I don't know the English word for that.
What's the German word?
Yeah, Abbitte. You don't know that. Ich muss Abbitte leisten. So I have to maybe apologize a little bit on that behalf, because the first time I got introduced to that American, because I think the breakfast concept has been taken more from the British people, like, because they also
Here in Germany?
No, in the US, because they also eat like beans, they eat sausages, like these combination parts, and so in some of the hotels, especially in Germany, if they are like a little bit more attracting an international audience, you always have the possibility of choosing, like you have an intercontinental breakfast or you have a big buffet, and you can see if they are equipped well, you can see in a lot of them that they start to have like kind of some ingredients of an American or also English, sometimes both, breakfast. So sometimes you get waffles, sometimes like sausages is quite normal nowadays, which is not a normal German breakfast. I know we love sausages, but not for breakfast.
Yeah, but you can't compare, getting a breakfast at even an American hotel or international hotel and say, like, oh, that is like American breakfast. That's like going to a Hofbrauhaus in the U.S. and saying, like, oh, now I know German cuisine.
Yeah, no, we don't have to argue about that. It's just more like I got introduced to that whole concept in these hotels. I never tried it. Totally honest, because it was disgusting. So, and that was in my mind from our first traveling. It's like, okay, they have real strange breakfast behavior, and maybe we will also come to that how this evolved. But they have real strange breakfast behavior, and so then we went to the US, and I think one of the first, and it was directly a miss. That was awesome. We went to the, what was it, 24 diner in Austin? Yeah, I think it was one of the first. And
I hope it's still there after all this Corona stuff.
it would be horrible if it's gone.
Yeah.
And I ordered also with, of course, the assistance of Mr. Daniel here, chicken and waffles. I was totally open. I was like, I went out of my Germany hull as far as possible. Said like, okay, that concept is strange, chicken and waffles, but like these guys tell you to try, you try. And then they came with the table, no, not table, the plate, and it was like a huge waffle and an even bigger chicken on it. I think it was the whole chicken.
Half a chicken.
Yeah, it was huge. You had a little waffle on it, and then this whole chicken on top. It's like, okay, how can that be a good taste experience? It's just basically some chicken parts deep fried on a waffle. But luckily, Daniel had ordered a more classical choice of American breakfast, and he saw my look at that, and then we switched. So I got a nicer introduction to that. Now I
What
will.
did I order?
I think you had like more the classical scrambled eggs, bacon. I have no idea what the rest was, but it was. I think I still have the photos. We can look it up afterwards.
Yeah, I remember that. We switched.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't willing to even try it. I was like, come on, Eddie, just try it. Take a bite of, like, first of all, cover your waffle with this brown sugar butter. It's awesome. And then put a piece of chicken on it, and then cover the whole thing with like grade A maple syrup warmed in a bottle. It's amazing. And you're just like, nope, we'll not do it. Nope.
So also that advice for everybody who's getting their German friends over to the US, and especially for like these type of breakfast experiences, don't start with the hammer. So
you ordered it, man. You ordered it.
Yeah, I know, because I was like, yeah, I do that, and I had no idea what is coming. So start slowly, do baby steps, because that is.
My wife loves it.
Yeah,
my wife loves it.
I could believe that I like it too. I haven't tried it up till now, but we will still travel back to the US. So there will be the point where I say like, okay, now I'm prepared for trying this. Yeah, mentally, and also from the body, because that's the second part. Like the first part is like you have these kind of different flavor profiles, and like you said, these for us odd combinations of food. On the other side, I believe like especially the breakfast, the whole meal has a completely different meaning in the US. So you see that first.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
The amount. And I think that's a very classical stereotype that you can hear from a lot of Germans.
So cliche.
Yeah, but it's true. It is true. You're sitting there, like you said, and we ordered breakfast. In my head, that was breakfast. I'm coming from Germany, first time in the US. I thought like, yeah, they have some strange combinations, but still, it's breakfast. It's starting the day, so it's already some, fatty food. So they wouldn't. Nope, they put it on as much as they can. Like I said, half a chicken. It's like my body is not even prepared at that time in the morning. I just got up, got a shower, we drove here. I'm not prepared to eat half of a chicken. No chance. You see this will shift a little bit during the during all our vacations that shifted. I have the same problem every time I come there. First days are a little bit hard, also food wise. But then I adapt to that. So you also start to eat a little bit more different. So that's what we discussed. Like you can really see that the breakfast was a really important meal, especially for working class, and it was designed for just making you full. This has to be a good amount of calories. So you go out working now, especially in that areas where it's like maybe a lot of hard work. I know that changed nowadays, but and then like you have to. These calories needs to be in your body so you can come through the day, because maybe you just get to eat for dinner.
Well, I mean, there's a saying over there, and I'm gonna get it wrong because I don't remember the middle bits, but it's basically like eat breakfast like a king, lunch like I don't know, like a middle class person, or a peasant, and then eat dinner like a peasant or something like that. But what you say is true. A lot of the times, the most luxurious meal of the day is going to be breakfast. You're going to try to get by lunch as quickly as possible. And then at dinner, sometimes you're so tired that you just grab something quick, like a salad or munch on a carrot or something, right? So
Yeah, we have a similar saying in Germany. It's das Frühstück ist die wichtigste Mahlzeit am Tag, which basically translates to like the breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
mhm.
And also, I
So
think
why would you just serve people some bread and some Nutella then?
yeah,
That's so cruel.
no, bread and
Because if
Nutella is
that's the
also
best of your breakfast, if that's the best of your day,
no, bread
it's sad for the rest
and
of the day.
Nutella would be the children version of it. So I still do that from time to time because it's just like it's basically like candy. It's sweet.
Hmm.
It's a treat, and you like
Hmm.
that. And but it's not the normal. Like normally it would be some meat, Aufschnitt, and or
Like
cheese.
one slice of it. That's the other thing that I wanted to talk about is like German sandwich culture. You have this like piece of really thick bread, a tiny smear of butter, and you put one slice of salami on top, and that's basically your like salami but like this Brötchen. It's like you'd get shot in the face if you try to serve that in the U.S.
Yeah, but that's
There's like no meat.
what you get if you are actually able to do bread. So you want to
Yeah,
taste that. I think we can
yeah.
do that war all day long. So that's also a huge topic, and maybe just dive into that very shortly, and then we can cut it off because that was one, and I have to tell that story honestly because it showed me so, and it also taught me so much about the United States, its culture, its people.
Hmm.
So that's an obvious cliche that like Germans love their bread, and Americans basically just eat white bread and toast. All of this is white bread toast. And then we went to San Francisco, and there you have the what is it, the pier section, like at the harbor, which
Hmm.
is just it's tourist attractions. And then you have, do you know the name of them? It has a French name, some Café Bourdois, or what was it? I have to look it up. But it's basically and the yeah, or they tell you they are the inventor of sourdough bread in the United States. So it was full. You had to
Hmm.
wait for seating, and then but the great thing is you can do something in that shop because they have a sourdough museum.
Hmm.
So and I was sitting there and just really we with my wife and we were laughing so hard. This is so typical Americans. Like they are known for just eating this white bread, and then like one guy, I don't know, he was of course he was not American. He came from somewhere and said like, okay, why do they just eat white bread? Let's do some sourdough bread. It's not that hard.
Hmm.
And then the Americans came like, oh, that's actually quite good. It's a good combination for some other stuff. And so you are a hero. You should do a museum about how we invented sourdough bread. And then you have a
Hmm.
whole museum around that with different bread types. No, not but different forms of the
Hmm.
same kind of bread. You can look into the bakery, how they do that. It's really like we have learned rocket technology. You are into NASA right now, and you can have a look behind the curtain how this strange stuff is made. And we just standing there like, yeah, guys, it's sourdough bread. Don't make a fuss
Yeah.
about it. It was so funny, and but that was really American. Like own it, tell people about it,
Yeah.
outspoken. This is we are so great. We did sourdough bread. It's like, yeah, awesome.
On the flip side, if by any chance some American tourists or expats are listening to this and they really do miss the white bread here in Germany, all you have to do is go look for the either the Milchbrötchen or the Stuten. And that's exactly the right consistency, the taste. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's basically
So
more like French bread. So it's more French origin. The American white toast and also the toast is a little bit different. But you mean this this what
is
you also
Stuten French? No, that sounds very German.
the Stuten, but the
What?
Stuten is a little bit the Milchbrötchen is like a lot of these stuff. If you go to grocery shopping here, is more on the. It's also more on the what is it called for the sweets. It's not really
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit also bakery is separated in Germany into a little bit of a, like normal baking products like bread and all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff, and then you have the sweet stuff that's coming out of the bakery. and also our bakeries do they do cookies, and they do uh, cakes and all that. So and all this bread you're referring to is always on the sweet section of that in Germany, and
Wow.
a lot of them have French names because it's also very common in the in France to eat that kind of bread. I think even Germans don't eat it that much.
Yeah, what you want to do is take, like, let's say a Milchbrötchen or some Stuten, right? Load it up with some mayo, some turkey breast, a little bit of black pepper, maybe some cranberry sauce if you have it. And it's like you have an awesome turkey sandwich there.
Yeah, or you can try some of the other awesome bread. No, but I totally understand the concept of, like, if you're an expat or somebody for holiday, I would really, maybe I would call you out for that. If you are an American and you're on holiday in Germany and you really go looking for that kind of stuff, I would raise my finger and say, like, try some of the local bread, like the good bread. If you
It
really
is a local bread. Stuten is a local bread.
you're just trying to recreate the American style. That's not trying the local stuff. But if you really live here as an expat, I can totally understand, because even I had that from time to time, that you want to you want to try something that remembers you of home.
Oh yeah,
Because
I told you the story on like how my wife, she would go to the Costco, or not, Cost Plus World Market, right? And there's a kind of an international store. And we go to the German aisle and buy like $9 cans of mica sausages because she just wanted that authentic, German mica sausage taste.
Yeah, that's also typical children's sausage, like these mica sausages. Like a lot of children, they just get it out of the glass and just munch it like that, and because it's quick, fast treat.
Yeah, she wanted that taste.
Yeah, I can totally, because what was our experience the other way around, because what we also tried, because Daniel said it before, Texas has a lot of German influence. Actually, I wasn't aware of that before we came there, and he told us. So we looked in some towns, and I think one of the towns you have to bring tourists into if they're from Germany is Fredericksburg. And we went to Fredericksburg. We will come to the phone story, Daniel. We will come to the phone story, but I have to tease it now. So stay tuned. There will come an awesome story. But we went to Fredericksburg, which is a real nice town. I'm still following them on Instagram, and they are doing the most awesome Instagram pictures. A lot of nature around them. Yeah, very nice town. And the fun part, you can tell by the name maybe, it's basically founded by German immigrants. And it still is one of the last places in the US that really have a big connection to the German heritage, because a lot of these places lost that for some strange reasons during the World Wars. But Fredericksburg stick to that a little bit more. So you will see German flags waving there. You will see restaurants or hotels with German names. Sometimes total stupid names and totally unrelated to whatever they are, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Because also Americans are very good at immigrating people, so they are Americans. Basically, they just role play a little bit of Germany. But it's really cool. And we went to a place what's called Otto's, which is just one of the most German names you can imagine. And
how was the food? How would you rate it?
Like I said, it is good food. It is good food, and you can see he tries to recreate German food, but he does not have the tools for it. So because you just don't get the ingredients there so he basically substituted a lot of this with more common ingredients in the US, and that of course changes the taste. So it's a little bit like you maybe said, I was taking a Milchbrötchen or stuff like that. Yeah, you get the idea. And it reminds you at home, but sometimes it's even worse because it reminds you at home, and you recognize, yeah, it reminds me at home, but I cannot get real home feeling here because it's not possible.
So do you think if that restaurant somehow magically transported itself into Germany, how would that restaurant do? Right? Would they say, "Oh, this is a little bit different, but it's good," or would people say like, "Wow, that's not how my Oma makes rinderrouladen, and like set it on fire.
I think it would do horrible. But maybe not for the same reasons, because that's also a big difference in like the culture of like going out and eat. It's really, really different in the United States and in Germany, and especially in Germany. It's nowadays very uncommon to have restaurants that have like classic German dishes
Yeah.
because of exactly that problem. Like everybody's Oma can do them, and most of the times they do them better because it's what you eat when you were a child. So it's
Mm.
always better. It doesn't matter about quality. It's better because that's what you got back in the days. So so it's not a really good idea to open like a really traditional. The only places in Germany where you get like German traditional food are mostly like special places. Like in Cologne, it's all these die Bierhäuser, Biergärten,
Yeah, but it's
breweries.
actually super hard to find like, you know, Huna fricassee or Königsberger Klopse and stuff. Sometimes the Metzgers have them, but the
Yeah,
quality is sometimes good, sometimes not so
yeah.
good. You know, but I've looked, and it's really hard to find a restaurant that serves those classic German dishes that I love so much.
Yeah, that's it's really it's gotten hard. So this really works great in Texas because for them the Texans, like I said, for them it's a little Germany role play. It's like if you do
Mm-hmm.
Oktoberfest, this is not
Yeah,
really doing Oktoberfest. It's like
yeah. Except we call it Wurstfest.
dressing up like Bavarians and drinking strange beer, and then it's like you imagine it, and then it's so much more fun even because you reenact that situation. And I think that's the same with this restaurant. I guess there will be
Mm-hmm.
some elderly people living there because what I heard, we didn't met some, but we also didn't connect that much there. But there are still some elderly people who speak that Texas German, so they
Yeah,
might still have some connection. But of course, because when did they migrate? I think it was something in the
by
18,
1848 or something like
yeah.
that,
So
after the German Revolution
yeah,
that
so
I learned about.
you will not meet anybody there who has actually even, I think, even grandparents from that. So they all they live and all they can remember are American born, which is also part of the strange Texas German because it evolved. It has the same roots as our German, but it evolved differently because it was splitted in that time frame. So words that came new after that have to be different in both languages, and it's very funny. So it's a little bit. It, nowadays, I would say it's a little bit tradition passed down to the children from food and all this stuff, but it transformed obviously like everything else. It transformed into the American way because, like I said, America is very good at at immigrating people and like get them into their society, especially during that days. We're not talking about maybe today, but during that days, they're really good at doing that. So none of them would say they're German, or I think they are proud of some of the, or a lot of them are proud about German heritage. But
Mm-hmm.
and the food, like I said, it was good. Maybe even here it would be strange, but nobody would understand that. Like
Mm-hmm.
Americans doing German cuisine, are like, what's the matter? Uh, do burger? I don't know what you're doing here. Um, so I don't think like for especially that kind of food. Normally in Germany, food is either fast food
Mm-hmm.
or it's like special food in some degree. You still have that's of course not always true. Like everything is not black and white, but these classical Kneipen
Yeah,
restaurants stuff is dying. It's not really out there
yeah, but I
anymore.
mean, if in Germany we opened an American restaurant, and if we didn't want to go for the cliche 1950s diner look, right? What is American food? Well, American food is like Italian food mixed in with Chinese food, or Japanese food mixed in with French food, right? Like I said, most of our cuisine basically came from a fusion of, honestly, a bunch of poor people trying to feed themselves however they could. So, you know, I mean, you do have American food here in Europe. It's always just labeled fusion, right? Same thing with
Yeah,
Australian food, by the way,
yeah.
right?
And I think you see that even in Germany, it's coming back here. I think America is a little bit farther down the line because they're the newest country the world,
Mhm.
or big country in the world by that standards. So like all the European country have a lot of more of heritage that goes
Mhm.
back. So you had these in special situation, like everybody came to America, so they brought all their food and different styles with them. So I think it's very hard to really. I don't know. Maybe you can answer that afterwards. What you think is American food? Because I would even have problems. I could tell you some dishes what is German food, but even here, like Italian food is so normal in Germany right now, like noodles and stuff like that. Like if I would ask my grandma, or she's not living anymore, or my mother when she was young, they wouldn't have that much. Like there was basically
Yeah.
potatoes, because they had what they could
Mhm.
grow here. So, and they weren't aware
Except for
of
breakfast.
they weren't aware of noodles and stuff. And that I think is also one of the reasons why we are so good at the baking stuff, because that's basically wheat. So that grew
Mhm.
everywhere, and so they had to find different ways of yeah, making different kind of products out of that. But in the US, if you would ask a German, and that's just a guess, so we would actually have to
Mhm.
do that to find out. But if you would ask a German what is American food, I think two things that would come up first is basically the whole fast food section, like burger,
Mhm.
and the other one would be barbecue,
Mhm.
because that is basically outside of the US. That's a little bit the cliche of like if you talk about American food, it's burgers and barbecue, big
Mhm.
chunks of meat for hours on the grill or on a smoker. Um,
Mhm.
but
Smoker.
nobody would think about a Korean or Asian cuisine as an actually. I was very very surprised to learn that a lot of these sushi rolls are actually American rolls, so they are not Japanese.
That's right.
They are actually like some of them even like I think there is a California roll, that's the name, but even a lot of them that
That's
are
right.
not named like that are basically inventions that were made in the U.S. Not in
Like
Japanese.
fortune cookies. Fortune cookies was invented by basically like Chinese immigrant in Chinatown in California somewhere. Right? He was just
In San
like
Francisco, you
I
can
need
visit the factory.
yeah, I need a gimmick. Let's just take some vanilla wafers and put like a Chinese proverb in it and sell it to all the tourists and stuff, right?
Yeah. So I think it's very hard to really, because like you can do what a lot of people who have an interest in history can do is like we have a little bit of that quarrel here as well with the, for example, the döner, which
Mm-hmm.
is for people who might not know. It's basically it's either chicken meat or what's lamb meat on a huge stick, rotating, so it gets grilled, and then you chop it off into a bread with some, yeah, basically coleslaw or some stuff like that, and then eat it with some sauce on the hand. And it has been brought here by Turkish immigrants, but there is a
Just German
huge,
food.
yeah, it's a huge debate where it was invented. Is it actually a Turkish food? No. Some people say in Berlin. You have the same with the currywurst. Where was it invented first? I think
Mm-hmm.
you cannot point the finger on that, because first of all, some people come to the same conclusion that it might be a cool idea if you want to have food for walking, that you just put the meat into a bread.
Yeah, like tacos.
For example, it's just we have different bread. The Turkish had different
Yeah,
bread,
yeah.
so or different. We just filled it differently, and I think that's the same with food nowadays. Like, and I'm also honestly, I'm not really searching for this. Like when people say like this is the authentic Italian, this is the authentic German food. It's like uh, most of the times just means old and never changed.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then they have the strangest issue. Like you said, go to Italian and basically like that might be strange for a lot of Americans who hear that the first time. Basically, everything on a pizza besides some cheese and yeah, flavoring is bad.
I mean, the Italians are a funny lot because Italians basically accuse other Italians of not knowing what pizza is, right? So if you go to a
Right.
traditional, pizza
Sicily,
baker in Naples,
yeah,
they'll tell
Naples.
you you can only use one type of oven, one type of flour, one type of crust, one type of tomato, one type of cheese. It has to be the Bufala mozzarella from one region in Italy. And if you do anything else, then it's basically sacrilegious, right? Um, like for example, if you serve like a Roman style pizza or a pizza from Milan, right? So that if you show them like a deep dish pizza from Chicago, they'll be like, "What is this sacrilege? It's good. You could just call it something else. Don't call it pizza. Don't culturally appropriate our our words."
Yeah. So let's that be a lesson learned here. Don't be like this kind of picky with your food. Like it evolves over the time. Try it. Try some new, or don't try it if you don't like. So, but don't
So we
blame
have a
everyone.
lot of
It's not pure.
so in Texas we have a lot of Czech immigrants, right? And so one breakfast food that we have is commonly known in Texas as the kolache. And most purists will say like, "Oh, it's not a kolache, it's a koblenesk, some other word," right? Because a kolache is supposed to only have sweet ingredients. Well, a Texas kolache has like jalapeno sausage in it, right? And so there's a little culture debate over there. I don't know. I still call it a kolache because
Yeah.
that's what I grew up eating, right? It's basically milkbrötchen with a sausage, like a Medford stuck into it.
Yeah.
Maybe some jalapenos,
Yeah, and some I like and some not.
Your wife really liked them, actually,
Oh,
when we
yeah,
stopped by Bucky's.
She really likes them. I also liked some of them. The ones we
Which one
got
did you like?
later. What was it? The one we brought over. I think you bought them there before, so we asked you in this big box. I ate 2 or 3 of them. They were around your-
Jalapeno one? I think you liked the jalapeno
I
sausage.
think it was. I'm not
Kolaches.
sure. But we have some minutes left here. So because then the internet is full and we
Oh.
have to stop.
That went by too fast. We need to do another show on food. All right, let's just wrap it up very, very quickly, right? What is the food that you miss the most that you wish you could get here in Germany on a daily basis?
Ugh. American food.
Or Chinese. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Wherever it comes from, we'll just steal it and call it our own.
Yeah, the most other international food that I know I get here, so I'm not that much. I didn't have traveled that much. I think it would be from the US. I would really adore a really American diner, but like an American diner, we have some of those clones here. There is even like what is it, Miss Peppermint or something like that, even here around the corner in the Cologne area. But they focus too much on appearance. It's just like these typical 50 diner style with the seating, the lady with the roller skater and this shit. But not the food. It's if you would really want to do me a favor, open up an honest American diner with the food they serve there. I think it would be returning guest.
Let's open up a Kirby Lane franchise here.
Yeah, more 24.9. That's supposed they are great.
Yeah, but yeah,
they're great.
They are.
That's not advertisement, but it is to some degree. So careful, advertisement.
I don't even know if they're still in business. I've been reading news of all sorts of Austin restaurants just going away because of Corona, right? Like restaurant business is tough as it is, and you add a pandemic on top of that, and shutdowns and not shutdowns and stuff. Well, a lot of my favorite restaurants are going away.
So the website is still up, and it still delivers for curbside takeout, and
That's
you can delivery by Uber Eats and DoorDash. So because if that would go down, that would be hard. And yeah, like, there will be new ones.
I'm surprised you mentioned that place, considering your horrible experience with the chicken and waffle.
Yeah, but you see, I'm able to forgive, and especially if I did the mistake. So, what I really love, we went there also the last week, but we went there alone. We didn't share it with you because you had to stay at home, and Rebecca and me went there. and we had these. That's basically the dish we try to recreate here because sometimes we invite people over and then we try to do this to introduce American breakfast to other people who are ignorant and don't know that this is great. So we do waffles. We do the brown butter, bacon, scrambled eggs, and you don't imagine how hard it is to get the right sugar here in Germany.
Oh yeah. I was over at your house once when we recreated that dish.
Correct.
You had to order all sorts of specialty products from Amazon.
Yeah, I was somewhere from the metro, so that's a huge grocery shopping. It's a little bit like Costco in the US, so you're not just only allowed with a card in there, but you have to be a business owner to get that card. It's not for end consumers. They have some of the specialty because they deliver to restaurants, they deliver to like these smaller stores, and so there we got some of these brown sugar. I think this one is, and you can order it on Amazon as well. I think that's from a British manufacturer, so they have the same with this molasses style. We don't have that in Germany, so everybody from the US who wants to come over here or for some time, take a big box of this stuff with you. It's not here.
For me, it's all the hot sauces and just generally sauces. So, hey, actually, that reminds me, I made myself some hot sauce tonight. It's pretty good. You should try it. Even though you say you don't like habanero, it's a habanero sauce, but I think it's really tasty.
Yeah. I have a little bit of struggle with the American hot sauces because on one side I love spicy food, but also I'm a German, so I was molded in the German way of spicy food, which is not spicy, so it's not even medium. If you go to that's not only US, it's like go to India, go to any Asia country where it's a little bit hotter. If you take it not spicy there, you get 2 levels above spicy in Germany. So that's, and I eat.
It's not bad on the spiciness level. Like my wife tasted it and she's like, "Oh, it's pretty good. It doesn't burn too bad."
Yeah, I would like to try. And also, it has America has a special taste to it, especially the hot sauce, because a lot of the times they use habaneros, and we don't use that much habaneros here in Germany. It's very uncommon used, and you taste them directly. It's a different taste. So in Germany, you have this association like red is spicy. And in the United States, it's like a lot of the spicy sauce is green, actually, because it's the habanero as a base, and that even doesn't fit into my color mix. It's just like, no, it's not red, it's not a spicy sauce. That's strange stuff. And it tastes
actually usually the red sauces are the milder sauces because that means you put a lot of tomatoes into it.
Yeah, exactly. But also here, like
exactly, tomatoes, spicy.
And also chili. Germany is like chili is red, and which is obviously not true with all the different kind of chili breeds. But it's this is just the association you have here, and the industry is using that as well. So you can buy a lot of sauces, and so also that is maybe an advice for Americans coming over. If you go to a grocery shopping, and you will see a lot of advertisement with flames on the bottle and like spicy. Don't be afraid. Nothing you can buy in Germany or eat in Germany will be spicy. Just take it. I made this mistake. This is the same when I go, even if you go to Indian places or Chinese places here, and you say like, you can order spicy. You will never get a problem.
We got those ghost pepper hot wings in Berlin. Those are pretty spicy.
Yeah, but that's really like. Then you can also play Lotto. You really have you found one place that were really spicy, but like in 99.9% of all chances, if you say like really spicy and like, oh, you want it spicy? It's like, yeah, dude, spicy. And if you
to be fair, it was also an American place.
Which one?
The Bird.
Yeah, the Bird. Yeah.
That's where we got the ghost pepper chicken wings.
Normally, they will tell you if they mean it. And that's the difference to the US. When I went there the first time, I said like, yeah, I will take it spicy. And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then you eat it and like, okay, shouldn't do that. Start on the low end. So not if you come from, especially from countries from parts from Texas or something like that, or California or something, you are known to much more spicier food than you will get in Germany here. So don't be afraid to take spicy. The other way around, careful. Don't order a spicy chili in Texas and be surprised if this burns twice. But it tastes
Oh,
great.
we didn't even scratch the surface on this topic.
Yo,
There's so many more questions I want to ask you and stuff, but
we went through, I think
have this be.
we give the people a good image, because one of the idea of this podcast, so let's head out here, is maybe we will do some kind of series, because the first ones were more like, what are the urging topics that we really want to talk about, what we have or what we think that is appropriate for the first, and especially the Borat episode was basically, oh, I watched Borat yesterday, let's talk about that. So we will get a little bit more planned, because still I'm a German, so I have an Excel file for that. We have some ideas on topics, and some of the topics are too big for just doing an episode, because we also don't want to repeat the 1.5 hour Borat episode. We still want to get a little bit shorter. But maybe there was we can start a food series and talk about, because I also went to a lot of places in the United States, and I think maybe we can talk about some specialties about New Orleans food, San Francisco food, Texan food, or in special Austin or whatever.
Yeah.
That could be interesting. Could be very interesting, and maybe you can also tell some of your own, because I also ate some great Korean food at Daniel's family, actually. So don't go to a Korean restaurant. That's a waste of time. I'm very bad at that. No. Try it. I don't. But
I mean, we've been looking for a good Korean place all over. Good, like even in Cologne and Dusseldorf and Berlin, like in Hamburg. We just can't find one, can we?
No, the best Korean place was the chicken place. But they basically made chicken wings.
Actually, in Cologne, that meeting place was not bad, but it's also just barbecue, right? So you can't really screw that one up, right?
No, but it's like even my wife, and that's also like she was very reserved about that kind of food in the first place, and but you cannot say no if it's on the table and you were living at that family's home. And now, even after the vacation, like, oh, I really like that food, that marinated food, the meat, especially these. What was it? The beef was
the
marinated.
Bulgogi, yeah.
Bulgogi, exactly. And I really like that. I really, really like that. So we have some more topics to talk about. But also have to get up early tomorrow. So.
Oh yeah, it's your first day of work. Congratulations.
Yeah, I've got back to work. So yeah, I would say thank you to everybody. Thank you, Daniel.
Always, Emma.
And so stay tuned. Give us an subscription to
thumbs
see
up.
And thumbs up as well if you want to see if new episodes are popping up. We try to keep the pace a little bit, like 1 or 2 a week, something like that. Depends on how tired I am, how tired Daniel is in the evening.
FYI, I tend to call Andy on the way back from the office to my house, and that's about a 20-minute ride, and I'm trying to convince him to just make that the podcast. 20 minutes, Daniel drives home.
Yeah.
That'd be a perfect podcast.
That's the level of laziness I have to deal with here, yeah. You would really love the quality of his mobile phone in his car. That's awesome. Okay, so everybody, have a good night. See you again at the next episode.
Ciao.
Bye.
Cheers.